Nagbabalik ang DepED Hour para sa Tele-Turuan.
Itatampok po natin ngayong gabi ang ika-4 at huling module ng Grade 7 sa asignaturang agham para sa Season 7. Sa module pong ito ay makakasama natin bilang feature presenter si Michelle Apostol ng San Jose National High School na tatalakay sa aralin tungkol sa reproduction, the continuity of life. Halina, makinig, manood at matuto sa ating Tele-Turuan.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Apostol from San Jose National High School. Watch and learn with me as we explore reproduction, the continuity of life for Science Module 4, Season 7. In the previous modules, you have already begun to explore the diversity of organisms. Today, we will be, number 1, exploring the importance of reproduction in an organism's life cycle. Number 2, differentiate sexual from asexual reproduction. Lastly, identify the advantages and disadvantages of sexual and asexual reproduction. What do this kitten and bacteria have in common? You're right. Both become living organisms through reproduction. Reproduction is the process of making offsprings. It doesn't matter if you have 1 cell or trillion of cells. Being able to reproduce is the defining characteristic of a living organism. Of course, there are some striking differences in the way organisms make offsprings. The known methods of reproduction are grouped into 2 main types. These are the asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. Let's discuss further. In asexual reproduction, it is a mode of reproduction from which offspring arise from a single parent and inherit the genes of the parent alone. There are several types of asexual reproduction. Number 1, binary fission. Number 2, regeneration. Number 3, vegetative propagation. Number 5, budding. And lastly, spore formation. What do you think are the differences of each type of asexual reproduction? Let's discuss further. In binary fission, the parent organism is replaced by 2 new daughter organisms because it literally divides into 2. A good example is the single-celled paramecium. In this case, reproduction starts with the cells begins to grow longer, pulling the 2 copies apart, and then the nucleus starts to divide. The cell membrane pinches inward in the middle of the cell. And lastly, the cells split to form 2 new uniform and identical offsprings. For unicellular organisms like the paramecium, E. coli, and bacteria, cell division or binary fission leads to the creation of 2 new individuals. Another type of asexual reproduction is regeneration. Simple animals like the paramecium can be cut into a many number of pieces, and each piece can grow into a complete new organism. Let's take a look at this example. A single cell planaria can be divided into 3 different segments, and these 3 different segments will grow into new organisms. Regeneration is carried out by specialized cells, which proliferate and make larger number of cells. Another type of asexual reproduction is vegetative propagation. It is a type of asexual reproduction in which new plants are produced from roots, stems, leaves, and buds. It is called vegetative propagation as the reproduction takes place through the vegetative parts of the plant. For example, you must have taken a look of a potato with an eye, just like this picture. If a potato is cut along with the eye, buried deep in the soil, and watered properly, a new potato plant grows from it. Another type of asexual reproduction is budding. Budding results in a mother and daughter cell. The offspring is smaller than the mother cell. A good example is the baker's yeast. Let's take a look at the picture. The mother cell is bigger than the daughter cell. These organisms multiply every hour if all the nutrients are made available to them. Budding also takes place in multicellular organisms like the hydra. In hydra, there are bulges. These bulges are called buds. These buds grow into a new individual. The buds will then detach and will form into a new individual coming from a parent cell. Another, you must have seen a slimy grain batches in pans or other stagnant water. This is called an algae. Alga is formed when water and nutrients are available. Algae reproduce through the process of fragmentation. Fragmentation is a process wherein an alga divides into 2 or more fragments which grow into new individuals. The last type of asexual reproduction is the spore formation. A spore is an asexual type of reproductive body which is covered by hard protective coat which can withstand unfavorable circumstances. What are these unfavorable circumstances? Number 1 is high temperature and number 2 is low humidity. A good example of spore formation is the molds coming out from a bread. Aspergillus is a species that are common contaminant of starchy food like bread and potato. They commonly grow on the surface of a substrate as a result of high oxygen tension. The blobs that can be seen on the surface are called sporangia, which can be seen in the picture, which contains spores and burst out into the air. As they burst out into the air, a new offspring or new individual will be formed. Before discussing any further, let's have a short break to give way to our sponsors.